Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me in this session on should sales development report to marketing or sales. My name is Udi Ledergor. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Gong.io. So let's talk first about the typical sales value chain. Many organizations can identify with the following chain, which we're using here at Gong.io, and I've used before at Panaya. My CEO, Amit, has used this at Sisense and at other companies. So here's what we're talking about. You have the marketing team, which deals mainly with lead generation. The product that marketing creates are MQLs, or marketing qualified leads. Those get passed on to the SDR, or sales development representatives, also known as account development representatives or business development representatives. So ADR, BDR, and SDR usually are used interchangeably to mean the same thing. The SDR nurtures and qualifies the leads, usually using email, telephone, and social media. And their product or currency are SQLs, otherwise known as sales qualified leads. Those get passed on to sales. When sales qualify the SQL and decide to pursue that opportunity, they will try and turn that opportunity into a paying customer. And when that happens, that will typically go on and ownership will be switched to customer success, which are responsible for the adoption and the continued success and ultimately the renewal of the customer. So this is a typical model for many software, especially SaaS companies. Now, looking at this value chain, we can see that marketing is obviously headed by the CMO or VP marketing, and sales will obviously be owned by the Chief Revenue Officer or VP of Sales. But the question is, where is the best place for SDR to report to? And there are two main options. So one option is for marketing to own SDR, and then marketing would take hold of both the lead generation part of the value chain and also of the qualification part done by the SDRs. And that would leave sales to receive qualified sales opportunities and turn them into paying customers. The second option that we see is for sales to own SDR. In that case, marketing would encompass mainly the lead generation and some of the automated lead nurturing. And then sales would be responsible both for qualifying those leads by the SDR team and passing on opportunities to the sales team to pursue. So you might be wondering, if you're pondering which one of these options you should go to, first of all, what are other companies doing? So according to a 2016 sales development benchmark report, this is the current situation out there. So about 64% of organizations have SDR reporting to sales. Only 25% of organizations have their SDR team reporting to marketing. And 11% of B2B organizations have SDR reporting in a different structure, either directly to the CEO or to another department. So let's try and help you decide what is right for you by reviewing some of the pros and cons of SDR reporting to either sales or marketing. Let's take a look. Option A is that marketing owns SDR. I've tried to summarize here some of the pros and cons as I've experienced them working for different companies with different organizational structures. So I'd say that if marketing owns SDR, the number one advantage is that marketing can be measured on opportunities created for sales. I'm sure you've all seen this typical problem in many organizations. Marketing, and I'm saying this as a marketer, of course, marketing goes to a trade show, for example, generates hundreds, or if they're good, thousands of leads. They come back to sales, they throw the fishbowl full of business cards on the VP of sales table and say, good luck, we brought you some really good leads. And then, of course, sales, if they're good, they follow up on many of those leads. Sometimes that doesn't even happen. And at the end of the day, there's very little follow-up. Sales blames marketing for bringing them junk. Marketing blames sales for bringing pure gold, but sales doesn't know how to follow up on. And if that sounds familiar to you, then you're in good company. We've all been there. And by reporting SDR directly to marketing, I think a lot of that problem can be solved because marketing is now measured on qualified opportunities and not just raw leads that sales doesn't even know if they're a good fit for the company. Can they be sold to? And is marketing even aligned with what sales needs to be able to sell to? So that would be the number one advantage of SDR reporting to marketing. A couple of other advantages are marketing is better aligned with the company's sales goals. By having SDR report to marketing, the head of that department, whether it's a CMO or VP marketing, has to be connected to the company's sales goals, probably to a higher degree than if he were just dealing with demand generation. The fact that he has to create opportunities that can be sold to is a whole different ballgame. And third, marketing focuses on generating leads who can be qualified. So all these things connect together. And what I mean by the third point is that many times, marketing is going to bring you what you're measuring them by. If you measure marketing by the number of leads they generated at a trade show, they'll bring lots of leads, okay? It's not that difficult to bring lots of leads. You can look for some of my other presentations online. I can teach you how to do that as well. So it's not difficult to bring a lot of leads, but if the marketing leader isn't measured by the potential of those leads to be qualified and actually do business with the company, he can still make his goal, but the company will not. And by having SDR report to marketing and having marketing being measured on qualified opportunities, you're creating that much better alignment between marketing, sales, and the company business goals. Now, it's not entirely a bed of roses because there are a few drawbacks to this approach. You can see a few of the disadvantages of having SDR report to marketing. One is that sales is totally dependent on marketing for opportunities, okay? In this model, we're not hiring salespeople for their Rolodexes. We're talking about a high transactional environment, and marketing is expected to create the vast majority, if not all, of the sales opportunities. And sometimes sales are uncomfortable with that degree of control over how many opportunities are coming in and where they're coming from. Okay, as soon as the SDR, which as Spider-Man's uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility. So by having SDR report to marketing, you're actually giving them a lot of power with that responsibility because they now control the pace, the quality, the nature of the opportunities being created at the company. And not all sales leaders are comfortable with that. The second point is that sales have little control on the priority and pace of SDR. Okay, so there could be different channels to explore for bringing opportunities, different industries, different organizational sizes, different decision maker job titles that the SDR team brings. And the closer SDR is aligned with sales, the more control sales has over the nature of the organization size, the decision maker titles, and they feel like they're getting what they need in a short cycle. If marketing controls that, that requires a higher degree of coordination between marketing and sales to make sure that sales are really getting what they need and to pull back that feedback after each and every demo call or intro call to find out whether sales are really getting the type of leads that they need, and if not, quickly adjust the SDR team to bring the ones that sales need. And the final point I want to make here is that not all CMOs or VP marketing know how to manage an SDR operation. To many of them, and to me this was also something quite foreign until not too long ago, I was in marketing. I started in corporate marketing. I moved on to demand generation. I never managed a sales team. And I think that's part of the explanation why we saw earlier that only less than a quarter of organizations have their SDR team report to marketing. I think not all of the CMOs or VP marketing are comfortable, have the experience, the skill to manage an SDR team. A lot of them come at a disadvantage because SDR likes to think of themselves as being salespeople or future salespeople, and many marketing leaders are not. They don't have that experience. They don't have that skill set. And it seems like a more natural fit for SDR to report to sales because they're all doing a part of the sales job. So this is definitely a challenge that needs to be overcome. Let's move on to the second model that I mentioned, which is option B, for sales to own SDR. And there are a few pros to this model as well that need to be considered. So one of them, it's potentially easier for sales to manage sales development. For all the reasons that we mentioned on the previous slides, the sales leader, they know how to manage salespeople. They know how to manage people on the phone. This is not something that comes natural to marketing or to most marketing teams, but for sales it is, because salespeople, especially inside sales, they're on the phone all day. They're pounding the phones, and that's part of what SDR does as well. So to many sales leaders, it comes natural to manage the SDR team. The second thing is that there is greater alignment between SDR and sales on the needs and pace. This is the exact mirror image of the cons of the previous model that we discussed. So if SDR reports to sale, you know that there's going to be near perfect alignment because they're sitting together, they're working together, they're being compensated together, and SDR will usually bring sales what they want. But this definitely has a downside, which we're just about to cover. So here's some of the biggest downsides other than mirroring the pros of the previous model, which the first one was that marketing can be measured by opportunities. Obviously, with this model, marketing can no longer be measured by opportunities because marketing is passing on either raw leads or, at best, marketing qualified leads for sales to work on and qualify within their SDR team. So here are some of the other disadvantages of this model. One is that there is a potential misalignment between sales and marketing. Lead generation might be out of sync with the sales needs. Let me explain what I mean here. In the previous model, where marketing controlled SDR, we knew that the demand generation department within marketing is going to be focused on creating those MQLs which SDR can definitely qualify or in high probability. But once you disconnect the marketing from the SDR team and SDR now reports to sales, there's a potential conflict because it might be easier for marketing to create certain types of leads which may be more difficult for SDR to qualify and create opportunities from. As soon as that SDR team is no longer part of marketing, it's now part of a different team, part of the sales team, that creates a negative incentive for marketing to create those leads which are easier for the marketing department to create, which may not likely turn into sales opportunities. And we've seen this happen, and that's part of the conflict that we talked about earlier. In many companies, you see marketing coming with that fishbowl of business cards, handing them over to sales, and sales saying, I can't do anything with this. And marketing honestly doesn't know what they did wrong. They were maximizing lead gen because that's what they were measured on. And that's probably the biggest problem of this model where SDR reports to sales. The second part, and that goes back to the advantage that I discussed of this model where SDR and sales are better aligned, there is a point where that becomes a disadvantage. When SDRs are eager to please sales so much, and SDRs typically look up to sales because many of them plan their career move after being an SDR to become a salesperson, so they try to please sales by bringing them exactly what they want. And what happens is that sales, they know what's easier for them to sell, but that might not be the easiest leads for the company to generate or the most profitable lead for the company to generate. So I'll give you an example. Say there's a product A. Company is used to selling product A, but the companies also realize that this product is in decline in the market, and they need to be ramping up product B in order to secure the future growth of the company. Now, let's go down to the level of the individual rep. Individual rep is used to selling product A. That's what he knows how to do. And he's going to be working with the SDR reporting to sales and begging that SDR to bring more and more opportunities of product A because that's what the individual rep knows how to sell. Now, the SDR is looking to please the sales rep, so he's going to bring in more and more opportunities to sell product A, and the company is going to suffer because of this over-alignment between SDR and sales, because SDR are going to try and please sales and not necessarily have the bigger picture of bringing what the company needs right now, which might be product B. Other examples might be, it might be easier to bring leads from a certain channel or from a certain industry, but maybe sales want something else, and as soon as they point SDR in that direction, SDR usually aligns with what sales needs, even though it might not be for the benefit of the bigger picture of what the company needs for its future growth. So that's something that can be managed, but needs to be closely monitored. And finally, the last disadvantage of this model that I suggest looking at is that sales might not have the bandwidth to train and coach SDRs, okay? Sales knows how to manage and train and coach salespeople. SDR typically need a lot of hand-holding. These are many times entry-level positions. They're just getting started in their career. They haven't sold before. Some of them have never sold on the phone. They don't know how to work with the script, and this needs a lot of hand-holding. Not all sales organizations have this bandwidth. Not that I'm saying that all marketing organizations have this bandwidth, but if marketing starts an SDR team, they know they need a dedicated manager, hopefully an experienced one, to ramp up the SDR team. Within sales, many times this can be an afterthought, and some sales managers don't realize how much hand-holding the SDR team will need, and they try to ramp them up in the same way that they do for sales, and many times that's not going to be enough. SDR many times will need more hand-holding than a new sales rep just because they come with a different background and less experience. So we're going to start wrapping this up. I definitely think there are two viable models for SDR to report to marketing or SDR to report to sales, and depending on the way your organization is set up, you might choose one or the other. I can tell you that I do have a pretty firm opinion at this point after working for several organizations and seeing both models in work. And this is my bottom line, and you can feel free to use it or ignore it at your own peril. But here's where I stand on this question. If you can hire a CMO or VP marketing who has the bandwidth and experience to manage, hire, train, and coach the SDR team, the benefits of SDR reporting to marketing will usually outweigh the benefits of SDR reporting to sales. So this is my bottom line. And if I need to sum this up with a single reason or a single justification for your next management meeting, I would say, isn't it time that we stop measuring marketing by the number of leads they bring to sales, and then most of them don't even get followed up on or we can't do business with? Is it time that marketing starts bringing qualified business opportunities that we know we can sell to? Well, if you think the answer to that question is yes, then I would propose that the best way of switching over to marketing, bringing qualified sales opportunities that the company can sell to, is by having the SDR team report to marketing, putting that headache on the marketing team, and making sure that they tighten their internal alignment between marketing and SDR. So they're not just creating raw leads or marketing qualified leads, but they're actually creating qualified opportunities that the sales team will be waiting for and embrace and know that they continue forward and sell to. Before we wrap up, I just want to give one more slide on where I'm from. So I'm from Gong.io. We're the #1 conversation intelligence platform for B2B sales. What our product does is it helps sales team improve their sales calls and demos and gives sales leaders insights into how well calls are being conducted. Gong does this by recording, transcribing, and analyzing sales calls using artificial intelligence, helping the sales organization understand what works and what doesn't. We'd love to show you more about what we do. All you need to do to schedule your personalized live demo is go to www.gong.io. If you have any questions or feedback about any of the topics that I discussed today or anything you'd like to know more about Gong and our marketing operations, feel free to reach out to Udi.Ledergor at Gong.io or visit our website at www.gong.io. Thank you very much for spending your time. If you made it up to here, I thoroughly enjoyed this and I would love to hear your feedback. Thank you all.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you'd like to connect with B2B executives from all over the world, make sure to join our private Facebook community. There are some incredible conversations happening inside this group. To join, visit b2bgrowthshow.com/FB.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.